hate it when people make me sound like this all the time, because that's not how I sound when I talk for real. I'm so fucking exhausted. Got my handy dandy little cart down here that I keep a selection of books on, and then I have like what I'm currently reading, and then on here is also sitting what I'm reading next month. I'm exhausted. I have a headache. I've been fighting a headache all day, and I just spent almost 2 hours recording a 10-minute intro for a video, like a 10-minute intro for a video, because the new camera I got is either broken or maybe the user is just broken. And then did not have it in me today to film 2 more videos, which is a wrap up and a TBR, so I'm just gonna kind of do it together. I've really been into these like abandoned mall videos lately, which I've always liked abandoned videos. I used to do urban exploring before I had kids. They're like comforting to me, I think. So we're going to talk about, I'm going to pull up my Notion, and I'm going to pull up my stats for the month, which I did a lot of reading this month. A shitload of it. I also put a lot of puzzles together this month. I'll throw that up here real quick. I really enjoy them. That's what I like to do when I'm listening to audiobooks, is puzzles. So that's fun. That's fun for me. Okay, let's talk about our reading stats. For February, I read 24 books. 4 of them were new releases, 5 audios. Out of all of those, cumulatively, I read 10,123 pages, and I gave 108 total stars. I don't think, since I started tracking and rating everything I'm reading this past year, I've never, ever given over 100 stars cumulative in a month, which is pretty impressive. I feel like I had a really good reading month. In my opinion, it was a really good reading month. I have all of them here, so I'm not really sure what to do first, but I guess we can start with the 2 books that I did not finish. We can talk about Definitely Better Now by Ava Robinson. I got to page 43 in this, and it's not bad. It's actually really good so far, but I just set it down for some reason and never picked it up. I'm not DNFing it. I'm not even soft DNFing this. As a matter of fact, I'm moving it over into March, because I feel like I will get to this at some point. It's just kind of like a book I can kind of keep on my TBR until I'm done with it, and just kind of pick up every now and then and read a few chapters here and there. I do have 1 book from February that I am soft DNFing for now, and I'm gonna soft DNF it and not just DNF it, because I feel like I didn't give it enough of a chance, because it is a YA book, and I don't know if it's just because I was not in a YA mood, or maybe this author is just not for me anymore, but it is better than the movies by Lynn Painter. But we did start off February with a bang, though. Started off February with Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce. This was a 5-star read for me. If you have watched any of my videos, know that Dungeons and Drama is another favorite of mine. It was also a 5-star book. Her writing is just so easy to read. These are cute read in a day books. I actually took the time to read this one because I found myself not wanting to be done with it. Kind of took me back to high school a little bit some, and I just thoroughly enjoy these. I feel like these are great books. Even if you're an adult and you're not, they are definitely YA. There's 0 spice in these books, but even if you're an adult, I feel like these are super cute books and you would enjoy them. Then I read A Shelf Dinosaur, which was the fine print. I gave this one 4 stars. This was so much better than Throttled, and I'm glad I decided to just not DNF these completely and give Lauren Asher's Dreamland Billionaires a chance, because I really enjoyed this book. Rowan and Zara were so fun to read. They were so interesting, and so I will end up keeping this on the shelf. I actually have thought about going back and rereading it this month. That's how much I enjoy this book. It's not a 5-star read. It's not like anything, amazing and over the top, but you can definitely tell that Lauren Asher grew as an author with her writing in this book. It was definitely more palatable, I think. I have started this journey. This is The House of Earth and Blood. I gave this 5 stars. Hunt Athlar and Rune Dannon are officially some of my favorite fictional men. Very, very delicious to read about. They are not men who cause the FMC to be and this is a big complaint of mine for ACOTAR, is that a lot of to make the men seem like these amazing guys, and to make sure the good parts of them to make sure that their flaws are overshadowed by the good parts of them. I feel like it takes from the FMCs in those books a lot, except for Elaine. I don't like Elaine. And so I feel like these were done very well in that aspect. I don't feel like Bryce suffered as a character to make Hunt seem like the amazing warrior and protector and like all around good guy that we're supposed to think he is. So, and I really like that. And Rune Dannon as well is her. I don't know if you've read this. I don't want to spoil it, but Rune Dannon's character is important to Bryce's. And I feel like Rune Dannon's character did not overshadow Bryce either. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed Bryce in this book so much. And I just found this entire thing to be so interesting. If I'm being honest, I like these better than I like ACOTAR. And I am starting to see how they're tied. I had a friend who told me that these were tied, and then I had somebody else tell me that she didn't think that they were tied to the ACOTAR universe. And I'm like, I thought that all of the worlds, like the Throne of Glass and this one and ACOTAR, were all tied together. And I am starting to see how they are. So, and it's little. If you're not paying attention to it, or if you haven't read ACOTAR, you'll never know. So I just 5 stars. I actually have started already the second one, House of Breath and Sky. House of Sky and Breath or something like that is the second one. I've actually already started listening to that one. Then we can go to The Air He Breathes by Brittany Cherry. This was a reread. This is always 5 stars. I read this book again in less than a day and then decided to watch the movie, which is a Passionflix movie. It's probably one of the better Passionflix movies. So the second audiobook I listened to was Not in Love by Allie Hazelwood. I don't regret listening to this on audio. I thought the audio was really great. I did go back and forth to read it, but like I said, I gave this one 4 stars. I enjoyed the STEM aspect of it, and I enjoyed how I guess it's not really supposed to be a mystery, but it kind of is. Like, I like how she tied all that together and how it came out. Like, the story was really interesting to me. The next one I read was For the Fans by Nyla Kay. I said a while ago I was not going to read any more Nyla Kay books. I feel like Nyla Kay just writes for shock value a lot of the times. However, I have a dear friend, one of her favorite books is For the Fans, and I got to a point where I was really just kind of craving some memoir romance. It's one of my favorite genres in the romance I guess community, and she told me to read For the Fans. Now, For the Fans is a stepbrother book, and it is spicy. I opened that door to Nyla Kay that I had previously shut, and for this one, I'm glad I read it. It was an okay book. It wasn't the end of the world. I thought that the story was really good, if not a little bit out there. It got 3 stars from me, just because I feel like in this book, there's a storyline about another guy and some jealousy, and I just don't think it was necessary. Then I went on to King of Greed. This has become one of my favorite series to listen to because it is a duet, and we know I love a good duet book. Give it 3 stars. It wasn't the first 2 where I think I like the first 2 more. This is also one of those like second chance love where they got a divorce and they're falling back in love, and he doesn't want anybody but her, and so he's made it his duty to get her back. And so I just don't think, I think that trope is just not my favorite. To be done really, really well for me to thoroughly enjoy them and rate them high. It doesn't mean that the author's bad, because I like the rest of the books. They were a 4-star and a 5-star, but I just didn't enjoy King of Greed. I'm ready for King of Sloth though. And then I read The X-Files by Jessica Joyce. This is another second chance romance, and I'm going to give you one opportunity to guess what I rated this book. 3 stars. I felt like it took forever to get to the point. I loved You With a View. That was such a good book to me, and I expected this one to be better, because I feel like the people that I've seen read both of these, they prefer The X-Files, and I just did not. I don't even know if I'm going to keep this one on my bookshelf. For real. Like, I know I'll keep King of Greed on my bookshelf, but I don't know if I'll keep this one on my bookshelf. Liked Eli. Eli was a great character. I just did not like the FMC in this book. I thought she was kind of whiny. I felt like she was not open to really hearing what people are saying to her. I feel like a lot of her problems could have been solved if she just said words instead of avoid words. This one just was not for me. If you love Georgia and Eli, well, I'm happy for you. Let me go ahead and talk about, I have 5 books I can talk about that came out of the same series, and I devoured these books. I started the Park Avenue Prince series, and I just ate it up. There's 6 books so far. 1 is publishing in March, and I read the other 5. So you have Infamous, Insatiable, Scandalous, and Possessive, and Salacious. I read these all within, I think, 4 days. I finished these books. They all follow a group of friends who are very wealthy, downtown New York types. They go to this college, they have all the money in the world that they can fix all of their problems. People are scared of them. They're very physically strong dudes. So I kind of think that they are maybe meant to be a little darkish, but they just come off as a regular romance to me. Just come off as a regular romance to me. Some are better than others. We can start with the first one and we'll work our way back. The first one is Infamous. I gave it 5 stars. This was about Weston and JT, and this was kind of the introduction to the group of friends, and JT is the son of the dean of the college that they all go to. Weston and another one of the Park Avenue princes have a bet or start a bet saying that they can convince JT to fall in love with Weston, and it goes from there. And I give this 5 stars just because I just ate it up so quickly. It was so yummy. These are definitely spice heavy, so if you don't want to read a lot of spice, then I would not recommend these, but I absolutely love them. JT is such an adorable character, and as you follow throughout the series, he just becomes an even better friend to some of these other like boyfriends and stuff. It's really, really nicely done. Okay, the next one is Insatiable, and this one is about Donovan and Sin. Donovan is one of the Park Avenue princes, and Sin is an adult entertainer, and they happen to come across each other because Donovan is a model, and he is sent to the wrong location, which just happens to be where Sin is filming. Well, this is Donovan and Sin's love story, and Sin's actual name is Kelly, just to, so you're not like, you go and look at this. And I enjoyed it was just a good little romance. It wasn't too heavy. There wasn't a lot of drama. I actually really enjoyed that Kelly and Donovan could act like adults when it comes to their relationship. You know, there was no third act breakup. That was probably my favorite part of all of it. Like, nobody had to break up with anybody to fix some problems. And then there was Scandalous, which was probably my least favorite out of all of the books. I gave Scandalous 3 stars. This was about Preston, who is one of the Park Avenue princes, but he was the quota straight guy in the group. Well, it turns out he's not so straight, and he ends up falling for his longtime crush, which also happens to be his fake girlfriend's dad. So I liked the story enough. It was just not, I don't know. I think I expected a lot more from a age gap, like girlfriend's dad. I think they just rounded this out so well so as not to make Preston look like such a douche, that it kind of hurt the story more. The fourth one is Possessive, and this is actually about 2 of the Park Avenue princes in the group, and it is about Dare and Gavin. Dare is like the ultimate bad boy, broody, you know, underground fight club dude, and Gavin is definitely more of the effeminate friend in the group. He's the most sensitive. He is also Donovan's brother. That's how he's tied to the group. So he's like, there's a bit of an age gap between him and the rest of the friends, but they're all friends, and they all protect each other. And Dare and Gavin are a unrequited romance. Gavin ends up breaking up with his boyfriend in this book, and Dare finds out that Gavin is being bullied by his ex-boyfriend, and so that sets Dare off, and it's a great book. I really liked this one. I gave it 5 stars. I think it was just perfection. The last that is available for me to read was Salacious, and this is again about one of the Park Avenue princes, what is his name? Travis, and his stepbrother, Caleb. You hear about Caleb in some of the other books, like you see that there's issues between the 2 of them. The friends try to keep them separate. JT is friends with Caleb, and that's how Caleb is intertwined into all of this. But you find out that they're stepbrothers, and that once upon a time when their parents first got married, they ended up fooling around. And well, Caleb is straight. And Travis just does not like Caleb because of this reason, like because he's pushed him away, he stopped talking to him and acted different. And so he's made it his entire life to just make life as complicated for Caleb as possible. And so it picks up that they fix their issues and whatnot. But I thoroughly enjoyed this story. I give this one 5 stars too. This is it for the Park Avenue Prince series. I'm waiting on the last one to come out, and I will be reading that this month when it does come out. But these are by Ella Frank and Brooke Blaine. Really well done. Sometimes I don't like how you don't get a lot of the other people in series because authors want these to be standalones. I really enjoy when a series is well-rounded and interconnected, and you do have to read them in order. Like, I think that really makes it a good read, in my opinion. So I think that's why I just really genuinely like this series. So now that we got those out of the way, we'll go ahead and talk about a memoir that a friend of mine told me about, and it is called Fuck Me by Ariel Miller. And it is about a woman who is in her 40s, and she is figuring out her life post-divorce. And, you know, how do you find who you are as a woman and still continue to be a mother? I like this book because I like the journey she went through. I gave this book 4 stars. I really thought the stories were fun. I thought that they seemed very real. I honestly loved her depiction of some of the journeys she went on. I can relate to a few of them. The only thing that I did not really enjoy about this book was the writing style was a little bit choppy. It was almost like she was writing like she would speak the story to me versus writing how you would want someone to read your story. I feel like there were some details that I missed and maybe would have helped me to better understand some things and piece some things together. By no means was a bad book. I really enjoyed it. So, and I really think if you are into memoirs and you are a woman in your 40s and maybe you're going through a divorce and you're a mom too and you're trying to reconcile how to be a single woman and be a mom at the same time, I feel like this would be worth reading. It is very descriptive. It is very adult. Like there are some things she talks about that are not PG-13. Then I read Deep End, speaking of, and I love this book. I gave this 5 stars. I know that this is kind of an unpopular opinion, but I feel like the people who don't like this book because it lacked a lot of spice are the people that this book was not meant for. This is about a swimmer and a diver, and they are and they are in college. They're like Olympic hopefuls. Like they are the best of the best sometimes. The ace swimmer is definitely the best of the best. Like he's a medalist for the Olympics. The diver is trying to get over fear of diving, and the diver needed therapy. There's a therapist in this book. I absolutely loved that a therapist was present. But what I really liked about this book was how it showed a BDSM relationship. I cannot stand it when a book about BDSM is strictly about the physical aspects of BDSM. I mean, yeah, there is sex in BDSM, but BDSM is more than just sex, right? It is literally an emotional relationship with someone. I feel like this book thoroughly described what would be to me, and with my experience, a normal BDSM relationship. They're not all dungeons and whips and handcuffs and St. Andrew's crosses. Not every BDSM relationship is that. And some people do find BDSM because of the emotional turmoil that they go through. Like that's a legitimate thing that people experience. And I really like that the emotional turmoil that these two people went through and why they participate in BDSM was the star of the show here. It wasn't just the sex. There is spice in this book, but it's not 50 Shades of Grey. You're not going to find that here. And if you're reading this book because you want 50 Shades of Grey, just don't read the book. Like, that's just all I have to tell you. I feel like Allie Hazelwood outdid herself with this book. And I also want to note that if you have a problem with how the FMC started to find herself and figure herself out because of the activities they partake in, if you feel like that was just not how she should have helped herself mentally, then you missed the whole point of the relationship to begin with. Following that, I read the Park Avenue Prince books, and then I read Erin's Obsession. I like this book. I gave it 4 stars. Did I listen to this one on audio? I did. I listened to this one on audio. I love this man's voice. Like, I don't even remember who the narrator was, but I could not get enough of this man's voice. I am ready for this next book so that I can listen to that one. Is it Connor's Obsession, I think is the next one. And I thought the plot was interesting. I don't think I've ever really read something like that before that I remember. Did a reread of To Catch a Firefly. Loved it. I love this book. I still love this book. It is still 5 stars. This is about 2 boys who are childhood best friends. One is autistic and one is ready to go off and see the world and leave their small Nebraska town. And that is exactly what happens. And then they end up, staying connected to each other, and it's their love story. And I absolutely love To Catch a Firefly by Amy Sanders. I cannot recommend it enough. I had planned to do this before I got into my mail mood, but this is Everything for You by Chloe Leese. This was the last audiobook, I think, of the month for me, and that's bothering me. This is the last audiobook of the month for me, and I enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. The story was really cool. This is a Grumpy Sunshine trope. I actually really like Gavin and Oliver's characters, both of them. I don't think that they took away from each other at all. And Gavin, with Oliver's niece, is probably the most precious thing I've ever read in such a long time. Next up, we can talk about Savage Rivals by Becca Steele. This is a 4-star book. It was another male-male romance. I enjoyed this book. It's about 2 competing football players, soccer players in America, and how their attraction to each other kind of made them, hate each other for a little while, and why they always wanted to be rivals. And it was how they fell in love. And it was just a really good story. A quick little read. Then I read Stripped by Balin Crow. I gave that 3 books. I gave that 3 stars. It was just okay. It wasn't the most amazing book I've ever read. I will say, I started this one on audio and I had to turn it off because the narrator took the Southern accents to a whole different level. And as someone who is Southern and as someone who does have an accent, I hate it when people make me sound like this all the time, because that's not how I sound when I talk for real. You know, I'm from South Alabama. How much more Southern can you get? So I turned the audio off for that and read the book, and I ended up enjoying it. But I think the audio just kind of almost killed it for me. It was just a good, quick love story. It's not even all that spicy. And then we can talk about Serious Trouble real quick by Alex McAnders. I hated this book, but I paid $7 for this book because I needed something to listen to while I was working and cleaning and stuff like that. And so I just went ahead and paid for this book, and I should not have. I should have read the reviews. It was absolutely ridiculous. The exaggerated femininity of one of the characters was almost offensive even to me. And the storylines just went everywhere. Like, it started off okay. It started off as a football player who thinks he's straight. Maybe he's in the closet. I don't even remember at this point. And then a really smart freshman guy who comes in and they have to study together. And I thought it was really great. But then it started turning into this whole, the genius is the first ever child of 2 men and a woman. Like, they figured out how to genetically clone or how to genetically make a child who has 2 biological fathers. And then it went to the football player who's adopted, but then they have to go and track down what happened to him, and was he kidnapped or was he actually adopted? And then they break up somewhere in there, and it's how do you write as a character? The whole time you're writing the story, the football player is, I love him, I want to be with him, I know he's the love of my life and we can make it work. But then the football player finds out he has a biological mother and brother, and he's like, sorry, can't be with you now. You guys, I am so frustrated by this book. I almost thought this book was AI. Until at the end of the damn audio, the author comes on and is like, hey, if you like this book, you can come over to my website and you can talk to the characters. What? I went and looked at the reviews after I was done, and I could not believe it. I was so ill. The only reason I listened to the whole book was because I paid $8 for this book. $8. Rant over. I'm done. I'm done with that. Anyway, I read Glow of the Everflame. This is the second book in the Kindred's Curse saga, and I gave it 4 stars. I deducted a star for Dim. I find her to be an annoying wench who doesn't pay attention, and she doesn't listen to the people that she says she trusts. And if it wasn't for the fact that I like the story so much and the other characters, then I probably would not continue this series. But if I only deducted 1 star for Dim, this would be a 5-star book. And the sad truth of the matter is I'm going to read the 3rd, and I'm going to read the 4th. Luther is top-notch book boyfriend material. Top notch. You do kind of see that he starts to become less like royal prince, bred to protect everybody, most powerful fae guy in their realm, and more of a, I love her and I'm gonna protect her, and I'm not gonna try to, you know, turn her against what she wants. He's leaving her very much independent to her own thoughts. But that's the problem. Somebody needs to take Dim and slap her. This woman drives me, this woman absolutely drives me insane. Insane. I swear. I wanted to DNF this book so many times, being in her head. Like, I feel like this would have benefited from multiple POVs. I'm just going to be honest with you. The last 2 books for the month that I read were probably my favorite books of the month. And I was torn on which one would be my favorite read for February. And I'm actually surprised at the one I picked. But the 2 books I'm talking about are Scarred by Emily McIntyre and Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. And I will tell you, I thoroughly love this book. I saw some reviews where people said you can definitely tell where she had to switch it up because maybe the author intended for it to be 3 books, a trilogy, and the publisher was like, nah. But I don't think it hurt the book at all. I actually think that she did very well with the time that she had to tell this story. I feel like it's the perfect length. Like, Gideon and Rune are like some of the best enemies to lovers that I have ever read. So I gave this book 5 stars, if you didn't already know. And I definitely recommend Heartless Hunter and Rebel Witch because I am going to miss these. Like, I am so sad that we are not getting a 3rd book for this because I think a 3rd book would have been fantastic. And I think a 3rd book would have given Rebel Witch the room to kind of expand upon another character that I think would have made the story really interesting.
Then we'll talk about Scarred, Emily McIntyre. This is the second book in the Never After series. This is the Lion King retelling, and I love this book. This was my favorite book of February that I read. I started reading this, and it seemed a little slow at first. I'm not a historical romance reader. They're not my favorites to read, but then it started to get really good. Like, really good. Sarah and Tristan were perfect for each other. I feel like they were definitely written for each other for sure, but just the way Emily McIntyre told this story. It is a slow burn, and I hate a slow burn. I loved this slow burn. Loved it. And the twist at the end, who saw that coming? I did not see that coming. Like, every time I was starting to be like, okay, Michael, come on, get some brains. Michael's like, I got you. And then Tristan and Sarah are there for each other. I loved it. 5 stars. Those are all the books I read in February. I don't really have a lot of books that I'm going to talk about in this video for March. 2 book clubs I'm a part of. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should. Cousin book club, I have a little reading. My cousins and I have a book club that we read a book every month together. And this month we're doing Fragile Sanctuary by Catherine Cowles. I have read one previous Catherine Cowles book, and it was just okay. I think I gave it 3 stars. So I'm going to read this one and give her a shot, I guess. And then also, my other book club is doing Pickleballers by Ilana Long, and I have no idea what this book is about. I just saw that it was a pickleball book, and I was like, that's so interesting. I've never seen like a romance about people who play pickleball, so I picked it up. We're going to try it. The new releases that I plan on reading this month, I don't know if I'm going to skip over any of these. I'm pretty excited about all 4 of them. One is book 3 of the Rose Hill series, which is Wild Side by Elsie Silver. It comes out the 4th of March, and I have been looking forward to the couple in this book since the very first book. And then Story of My Life by Lucy Score. One of my favorite small town romances is the Blue Moon series by Lucy Score, and so I get the feeling that this is going to be kind of like that she's coming back to these kind of books, and I'm really excited about it. So that comes out March 11th. And then you have book 4 of the Dream Harbor series, which is the Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Lori Gilmore. I didn't like the Christmas book. It wasn't my favorite one. It was just okay. So I have high hopes for this one because the first 2 were some of my favorites. And then Just Our Luck by Denise Williams, which comes out March 25th. I'm super excited about this. It is about a woman who wins the lottery and then I guess does she end up like in a fake marriage, a marriage of convenience with the server of a bakery or something? Yeah, that's where I'm at with that. But I'm really excited about all 4 of those books. And then I have Notorious, which was the 6th book in the Park Avenue Princes. So that one comes out March 11th, I believe, and I will be reading that one as well. So then we can talk about all the rest of these books. I have currently started House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas, and I am loving it. I am loving being back with Bryce. I'm loving being back with Hunt, and I'm definitely loving being back with Rune. I feel like this is amazing. I've been introduced to Ethan. I can't remember in book 1 if I was introduced to him or not, which says a lot about his character, right? Here. Then we're going to try our hand at First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. Love Light Farms. I did not like that book. I gave it 2 stars. I thought that it was very slow for a book about 2 friends who secretly love each other and they're like super close, and I just feel like that story dragged on for no known reason, for no necessary reason. But we're gonna read it. Everybody's telling me it's really good. So, and it's a beautiful book. Like, even if I don't like this book, do you see how pretty this book is? It's gorgeous. It reminds me of a sunny day. Then we're going to do book 3 of the Never After series. This one is based off of The Wizard of Oz, I think. So then we're going to do book 2 of the Dreamland Billionaires series, which I'm kind of excited about this one because from all the reviews I've seen of it, this seems to be everyone's favorite. I am also moving from my February TBR to my March TBR, Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert, because I really do want to read this. And I just did not get to it this month. So I feel like I can add this one there and pick it up, and it can be something I read you know, as I go. I'm also going to be reading Scythe and Sparrow, which is the 3rd book in the Ruinous Love trilogy. We know that I love Butcher and Blackbird, and we know that I did not like Leather and Lark all that much, but I'm really excited to read this one. Everybody is saying that this one is so much better than Leather and Lark, so really excited for that. And then we have A 5-Letter Word for Love, which is about a girl who likes crossword puzzles. That's all I know about it. This is by Amy James. I don't really... a heartwarming and humorous romance in which an unlikely couple falls in love over Wordle. So I just thought it was really cute. And then I'm going to actually finally get to Saving 6 from the Boys of Toman. This is one of the series that I want to wrap up this year. I've read the first 2, the 13s. These are not nearly as long as I thought they would be. They're super quick to get through. And then I'm jumping out of my comfort zone. And I'm jumping out of my comfort zone with Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This is a sci-fi book. but I needed to get out of the fantasy romance space for a while, and someone told me that these are so good. They're YA series for sure, but someone told me that if I was going to read sci-fi, maybe jump into them with these, because these are easy to get into. So I'm going to do it. And I actually think that Garrett is going to read this one with me. So that should be interesting. And that's all. I also am going to update you guys real quick on my journal, on my reading journal. And I am actually loving this part of it. It's easy. I don't have to do a lot with these. I don't have to write paragraph after paragraph. So I am really, really enjoying how this one works. And then I will tell you that there's some pages I just don't find myself using. I taped them all together, but like I am using the challenges. I do like those. And I do like the monthly picks. And then the, I just put the books I read with my cousins on this page because my other book club, we have a whole way that we track stuff like that. So I don't really need anything else. But I do think that this was really great. And I think if you're like me and you just need a simplified way to keep up with your books like these, this is a really great journal. Rusty paper scissors. And make sure you go to her because there are shops pretending to be her. But yeah, just wanted to update you on that. I really liked it. So that's it. That's all. We're done. We're done. I have went through everything I possibly can. I don't have anything else to tell you about on my TBR. I do have a few vlogs that I'm currently working on that I'm really, really excited about. So I hope you guys watch those and enjoy them too. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.